Hello. All right, so I am going to begin at Genesis 2. So here we go, Genesis 2:1. I am first so excited that you guys have joined me and you will watch it whenever you watch it. And even if I'm sowing these seeds in secrecy, then that is fine with me. But here, let's go. Genesis 2:1. The subtitle in the Tree of Life is Shabbat for Rest. So the heavens and the earth were completed along with their entire array. God completed on the seventh day his work that he made, and he ceased on the seventh day from all his work that he made. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, for on it he ceased from all his work that God created for the purpose of preparing. So I mentioned yesterday how in Jewish thought and culture, evening, the fact that it says an evening, and then there was evening and there was morning one day, that evening is really looked on a day of preparation. And here we see that word again, for the purpose of preparing. So rest, slowing down, slowing the temple, ceasing from working isn't random. It is intentional, because our God is a very intentional God. And the day of rest is for preparing for the other 6 days. Now, here's the thing. God could have created everything on one day, but he showed us order. He showed us how he can create out of chaos, out of nothing. In theological terms, ex nihilo, from nothing. He created from nothing. But then here we see the principle where he's showing us that rest is very important, and rest helps us to prepare for the work. And at least in American culture, we have a very hard time resting. I'm a mom, and so it can be very hard to find time to rest that is productive and that's preparing. Sometimes I just want to tune everything out and Netflix and chill, and yet that's not as sometimes those days are needed, but sometimes that is not really functioning to prepare me for the next day. It's really a numbing activity. And so I feel like we should look at this and not condemn ourselves, but look critically at our lives and say, okay, where do I rest in order to prepare? And where do I rest in terms to numb or escape? Have I done too much on the other days that I've got nothing left? Because this day is also how we can prepare as we go on our journey with the Lord, is to be with him more. So just some thought. So verse 4, these are the genealogical records of the heavens and the earth when they were created, at the time when Adonai Elohim made land and sky. This Adonai Elohim, here we see Adonai is what the Jewish people would call God, as opposed to calling him Yahweh. And so they would not, the name of God was so holy, they would not actually say that name. So they came up with a different name that made the land and sky. Verse 5, now no shrub of the fields was in the land yet, and no green plant of the field had sprouted yet, for Adonai Elohim had not caused it to rain upon the land, and there was no one to work the ground. But a mist came up from the land and watered the whole surface of the ground. So it hadn't rained, but God caused another way for water to come up and to start to, because here's the thing, he put seed in the ground, right? He put seed down first, and then those things were going to start growing. And whether you believe in the 6-day creation story or not, whether you think it was billions of years or whatever, I think we see principle that God could have just caused trees to come right out the ground. But what it's saying here is, because we're going back to right before God made man and looking like with a microscope more in depth, it's showing you that things didn't sprout up right away. So God himself laid seed. He spoke words which are like seeds, which is another reason why we should be so careful as to what we say, what we let come out of our mouth, because we're seeding grounds that we do not even know. And the Bible tells us that in various different ways and passages. Okay, so there was no one to work the ground. Verse 6, but a mist came up from the land and watered the whole surface of the ground. Verse 7, then Adonai Elohim formed the man out of the dust from the ground, and he breathed into his nostrils a breath of life. So the man became a living being. In some translations, it says a living soul. Verse 8, then Adonai Elohim planted a garden in Eden in the east, and there he put the man who he had formed. So the idea of forming something means the use of your hands, right? If you think of taking dirt and forming, and so now the dirt is a little bit moist, right? Because the mist is coming up from the ground. So he's able to form. And in order for God to form, that means his hands are on us. He's molding us. He's fashioning us in such a way that is going to be in his image and in his likeness. And that's pretty freaking cool. So yeah, the idea of being formed. And it's not just the first man, right? We see that he formed man. And when you come to faith and in the sanctification process, you allow God to continue to form you, to conform you, to transform you, and transform all of us. Verse 9, then Adonai Elohim caused to sprout from the ground every tree that was desirable to look at and good for food. So it's almost a beautiful thing to see that I've never noticed before, that God first formed the man. He formed the man before things started really to sprout, because those things needed to be tended to. And so in order, in God's divine order and intentional order, he put the seed in the ground. He had water come up and misting it, so the ground is getting watered, and then he forms man. And then once man is formed, he's causing things to go ahead and sprout. He's accelerating the process. And I think, when we're in the midst of being formed, we would love to accelerate the process. I would love to accelerate the process. Can we skip some parts as well, Lord? And yet everything is on God's timing, God's divine timing. And we see that he put the tree, he created a garden, he put it in the east. Then it says, now the tree of life was in the middle of the garden, and also the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Verse 10, a river flowed out from Eden to water the garden. From there it divided and became 4 riverheads. The name of the first is Fishon, the one that winds around the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. The gold of that land is good. Bdellium and lapis lazuli stones are also there. The name of the second river is Gihon. It winds around the whole land of Cush. It winds around the whole land of Cush. Oh, I already said that part. Verse 14, the name of the third river is Tigris. It runs east of Assyria. And the fourth is Euphrates. Verse 15, then Adonai Elohim took the man and gave him rest in the Garden of Eden in order to cultivate and watch over it. So you see again that the man has rest before he starts working. There is preparation there. There is purpose in there. Verse 16, then Adonai Elohim commanded the man, saying, from all of the trees of the garden you are most welcome to eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you must not eat. For when you eat of it, you most assuredly will die. Then Adonai Elohim said, it is not good for man to be alone. Let me make a well-matched helper for him. Adonai Elohim had formed from the ground every animal of the field and every flying creature of the sky. So he brought them to the man to see what he would call them. So now the man has a job. He has to name the animals, right? Whatever the man called them, each living creature was that name. So the man gave names to all of the livestock. and to the flying creatures of the sky, and to the animals of the field. But for the man, he did not find a well-matched helper for him. So it also, in naming all of these things, you see that the man is creating. So he is already stepping into this image, into this likeness of the Lord, because in the same way that the Lord creates, now the man is creating. He gets to name, which is another form of creation, I think. And also in this process, from all of the things that he's seeing, he can see what is like him and what is not. So there is some self-differentiation that's happening here. He's able to see, okay, not like this, not like this. Like I don't see a helper in here. And there's also a beautiful childlikeness quality to this. Because for us, we're like, duh, these are animals and flying creatures and things of the sea. Like nothing is gonna be like you. But there is this wonder and this like influx of information that's happening to the man. And we see that, he doesn't go through a normal birthing process as we know now. So imagine your senses being flooded with all information, with all of this stuff happening. It's pretty crazy. Verse 21, Adonai Elohim caused a deep sleep to fall on the man, and he slept. And he took out of his ribs and took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh in its place. Adonai Elohim built the rib which he had taken from the man into a woman. Then he brought her to the man, and then the man said, "This one at last is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This one is called woman, for from man was taken this one." Verse 24, this is why a man leaves his father and his mother and clings to his wife, and they become one flesh. Verse 25, now both of them were naked, and the man and his wife, and they were not ashamed. So they are fully exposed in this garden. You see, they did not come out with clothes. They did not come up with wraps. They are completely exposed, completely fully seen, and there is not shame there. Shame comes later. And we also see that the man is formed and the woman is built. And there is the first man, and then there is a second man with a wound man, woman, and second is not worse, it just is second. There is an order, right? And we also see that God spoke directly to Adam. We also see that there are two trees in the garden. A lot of times we focus on the one tree, the knowledge of good and evil, but there was also a tree of life. And we'll see later how that unravels. But we see that there are lots of options here. And God gave one commandment to the man. Just one. There was one parameter, and there was a lot of things going on. So now imagine this garden, and God is there, and now all these animals and these things are sprouting, and there's beautiful rivers, and there's all of these hidden things. We know that in Havilah there's gold, so there's all these things that are possibly even hidden, left to the discovery of man, left to the stewardship of the man, and he now receives a well-matched helper, because it's not good for man to be alone. And so much of the time right now we isolate and we forsake community, and so much of the time the messaging is when you're chosen or when you have to do the hard thing, you have to separate from people. And there is some of that happens, and we'll see that as the story continues to unfold. But see here, God's intention is for man not to be alone. For man to not only have a well-matched helper, but also that there is a closeness of proximity with the Lord. And he creates a place. The Lord prepares a place for all of us. And it's a beautiful thing. And it also comes with responsibility and accountability, and it comes with listening to the Lord. It also comes with proper stewardship and understanding and working together. So that's Genesis 2. So excited. Thanks for sticking around for the whole one. Have a great day. Bye.